My name's Tony Thacker. Everyone around here calls me T-Thack. That's how I roll with, and we're in October. I think it's 12th of October. National Skydiving Hall of Fame inductees, which happened last night, which was a great time. And wanted to give a couple of stories. One is my first skydive, and which was on June 21st, 1980. And which is also the same date as my father's birthday, Gene Paul Thacker, June 21st, which happens to be the longest day of the year, go figure. And also a sad moment in our family, Paul Keith Thacker, my older brother, died on June 21st, 1973 in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and my father had to witness that. So his birthday was a bittersweet type thing, and I made my first skydive on that day, and it drove my mother a little crazy, and just wanted to mention that before that and the significance of that date. The second thing I'd like to talk about is when I won the National Skydiving Championships in 1987. I led the meet from the first round to the last round, but had to have a good performance in the last round. And my father, Gene Paul Thacker, was the ground video operator, and he called the standby and the exit. And I don't know if folks know, but when the aircraft's you're on jump run to be filmed for your competition experience, the ground video guy gives the standby. Once you get the standby from the pilot, you get the exit command, and then you have 5 seconds to exit the aircraft. And if anything happens after the 5 seconds, the score could be a 0 or a maximum penalty. But I needed a certain number. If I can't remember the exact number, but I do remember the bet. And as we're on jump run, it was a little longer than usual jump run, and I think my father had something to do with that. And he knew it was me. And he called to the pilot and said, not my name, but just tell jumper 7-3, and he knew the number I had to have to win the meet. 6-pack. 7-3 or better, 6-pack. And the pilot told me that when I was in the door, and I went, you're on. You know, tell him he's on. And it was in particular a type of jump where I struggled with, because I would have to do a turn, do a back loop, and then come out and do the same direction turn, which a lot of times you would be off heading. So, and the penalty then was called an arrow, and I probably still is today. I haven't done style for over 20-some years, but it was one particular series that I struggled with in training and all of that. And when I hit my loop and I saw heading, and it was perfect, and I knew the next 2 turns in the back loop were going to win me the meet, and I knew I had won the meet as soon as I came out of that first loop and saw heading. It wasn't the gold medal that was important to me. It was the 6-pack of beer. My father gave me something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I could have gotten through the event or through that jump, but he certainly made it a lot easier for me. And what he did was turn it to home, because a lot of times at the last day we would get the call up, you know, 7-5, 6-pack or better, you know, 7-5 or better, 6-pack. And you know, it wasn't the fact that I had to have this number. He turned it into a relaxing moment for me, and ended up winning the championships. And I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget the moment. It's still so clear in me now. And have many, many more stories to tell, but I'm going to leave it at that. And thank you for the opportunity, and T-Thack out. Captain Schleck would always bring a couple of kegs of German beer, because they flew their own airplane here. Yeah. And so those reunions were way cool, because it was in an old Army barracks, mostly the Golden Knights and all of that, but it would be wall-to-wall folks. And of course, you're talking skydivers, military folks, so the list of shenanigans is through the roof. And the new Golden Knights trophy room, which if you haven't been there, it's awesome. Yeah. But the Golden Knights trophy room was upstairs from the day room, which during those parties they had to lock that door, because there was some mischievous stuff going on up there too. But we're not going to mention any names or any whereabouts or how that went down. But every time the German Army team would come here and train, they always coordinated it with the Golden Knight reunion. And the Golden Knight reunion would start with the Friday night, and it was called the promotion party. And all the new guys that made the team had to be the bartenders, and the alcohol was all free and all that stuff. And but they had to be the bartenders and do all the work. And they would always host it in the day room, and to us it was called the day room party. And it was always the Friday night, and then Saturday night would be the social where we dress up, coat tie and all that. And then the day room party was where all the action was, and the Saturday night party was the formal, where we kind of tried to act like nothing really happened the night before. And but Captain Schleck last night, haven't seen him for, gosh, I guess maybe 30 years, and it just reminded me of all those times, and how cool the German Army team was, and they bring their own German beer, and it was the hit. Those kegs would go down the fastest.
That's all. That's what everybody talked about. Was with helmet and the plane would arrive, and they bring these kegs out, and here's all the Golden Knights who've been drinking American beer, and then they get into that good German beer.
Well. Yeah, once the taste bud, once the tongue gets numb, it doesn't matter. But the stories still flow. But to me, the honorees, Norman Heaton, Captain Schleck, to me he's a different person, but very much the Jean Paul Thacker of Germany in their arena. I mean, he pursued more of a judging meet director type, and Jean Paul did a lot of meet directing as well, nationals and stuff. But Captain Schleck did more of a world level type of stuff. But when he was over here training his team, he was just like my old man, and it was pretty tough sometimes, but also funny, and a great friend for life.
Well, that's what some of the competitors were talking about as they trained here, being busted by your dad for a dirty DC.
Oh yeah.
And they said that's why they traveled here. There was no slack. Steve Ford, who flew for your dad, on his helmet. That's my instructor, and on his helmet was no slack.
Yep,
and
that was it.
That's
Raeford red, and there was no slack. Well, since you got me hooked up, I'll tell you two quick Jean Paul stories. You're going to love them. Well, they're both kind of embarrassing, but, and it's me getting busted out, which meant no slack. But he and my mom went to, I can't remember if it was Valentine's Day, but it had to have been a birthday or Valentine's Day or something like that. And Tim and I had the drop zone, and we weren't drinking or anything, but it was getting late, so we decided we just wanted to do some night accuracy and do some night jumps, and we just cranked up the plane and started jumping. And so we jumped. I mean, we jumped well into the evening. I mean, we're still skydiving, It's like maybe 11 o'clock at night, and I'm on short final on an accuracy approach at night. We did it complete black, no lights, no nothing, just complete black, and I'm sitting there about 100 feet, and I see these headlights go poof. And what he had done is when he got there, he drove out there with the headlights off, got there, parked, waited on me, and I knew it was his headlights, and I got 100 feet to go, and I'm sitting there going, oh man, this is going to suck when I get down there. And that couldn't have been the worst 100 feet of my life, But another one was, and sure, everything, I got my butt chewed pretty good, because it wasn't the fact that we were doing it, he didn't know, and it was, I wouldn't say it was unsafe, but we didn't know briefings, no nothing. We just did, yeah, you want to make a jump, come on. And and we might not have charged anybody either. I think that might have been bad. But another one was when the new buildings were going up over here, where all the team rooms are, the bathrooms, the long building. A friend of mine, Glenn Murray, was just starting a gutter business, and so I guess Jean Paul had traded him some jumps to put some gutters up, and I'm going to help him. I was like, yeah, sure. It was a windy day. Excuse me, a windy day. If I remember correctly, Nancy LaRiviere, John Sherman's wife, was training here then, and it was a real windy day, so we couldn't jump, but we're hanging the gutters, and so a case of beer comes up on the roof. And Glenn and I there's more tin throwing alcohol back than putting tin on a roof. And the next thing you know, the beer's up there, and then everybody else starts joining us. And we've got about maybe 10 or 12 folks on the roof. And this is kind of embarrassing, but so we're up there, no work's getting done, which I guarantee you is why. But it was past dark now, and across the field comes these headlights. You can see it coming. I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, everybody right now on the other side of the roof. Everybody right now, because there was no lights on us, but there was a lot of noise. So we're on the other side of the roof. Jean Paul pulls up, and every profanity in the book. I know you're blah blah over there, and I know you get your butts over here right now. And I'm sitting on the other side going, no. Cannot remember the first person that caved, but it's Jean Paul. I mean, come on. And I knew he was bluffing. I knew he didn't know we were on the other side, or at least maybe I'd like to think that. But I don't remember who the first person to cave was, but I do know the last person that came over the edge. That was me. And I've never in my life saw 10 or 12, 15 people with their heads down getting their butts chewed all at the same time. And it was all pointed at me, but everybody got their butts chewed. And so I wanted to tell that one too. And it was just like, and I think I got fired but rehired the next day after that. And we finished the gutters the next day when everybody else could jump and we had to do the work.
Awesome.
So, the end.
So I got fired by Gene Paulsher.
Yeah, and hired.
Yeah.
Quit a few times too. But anyhow, thank you guys for the opportunity. I'm going to go watch football. Hopefully the Carolina Panthers can pull one off today, and take care. Awesome.